I know the man.
So the Diddy case.
Machine.
Skeletons could allegedly be in one's closet than what has come out in terms of what they have alleged. And to that end, I have seen his family in court.
The case of the century. I think actually this is like the case of the century because when you really think about it, I don't think any other case has been talked about this much.
Family in court. I've seen his mother, his sister, his children, his daughters, of course his sons are there.
When you really think about it, I don't think any other case has been talked about this much.
I'm not the youngest among them. What has it been like for his children, some of whom lost their mother tragically?
In the media. I mean, Epstein, that was a big deal, but I think Diddy's case seemed to be a little bit more popular.
This is a few years ago.
Yeah, and I want people to understand that as well. These are children, right?
I'm actually this guy who seems to support P. Diddy. That's brave of him.
Right? Mm-hmm. That the only living parent is Puff, right? They have to sit there maybe 10 feet, 15 feet away from their father. They can't hug him, they can't kiss him. They got to whisper to him.
Because the way the media has turned the entire world, or is trying to turn the entire world against Puff Daddy and the allegation against him, it's almost like the
signs and stuff like that to show them that they love him. And, you know, it's heartbreaking for the girls. He wasn't there for their graduation. He wasn't there for the prom. You know, he wasn't there to, to send them off to school.
In the word of public opinion, P. Diddy's guilty already. It's almost like
none of that. So, it's heartbreaking.
You know, I did have a conversation last night. We had Suge Knight on the program, and he was calling in from prison, and he was talking.
What is going on in court right now does not even matter. It's almost like he's been found guilty by the court of public opinion, and the media wants that.
Similarly, when you talked about whether Diddy should testify, he seemed to think that it was in his best interest to testify, otherwise people would feel like he had something to hide. Now, obviously,
that is what I think I'm witnessing. I'm not sure what you think, but from what I've been seeing, everybody is Diddy bashing. When I mean the no Diddy, no Diddy, no Diddy, you used to hear a lot of people saying that. I've not heard that in quite a while.
Obviously, the jurors are going to be instructed that you cannot hold against somebody who doesn't choose to testify.
Right.
But one thing he did say was he believed that Diddy would be okay because he thinks that President Trump would ultimately pardon him.
I guess, just like everything else, things get old. So that no Diddy comment is getting old. Anybody who is still saying no Diddy, that's played out now.
If he were convicted. President Trump was asked about that today, and if he would pardon Combs, and he didn't dismiss the idea.
It's just like every other thing in the pop culture. It comes and it goes. Once it was popular, and a couple of decades later, if you're still the only one left saying no Diddy, it would have been looked as cool as it once was when it first started, if you know what I'm saying.
But if Combs is pardoned, do you think, if convicted, will the president pardon him?
I would hope that he do. I would hope that he would look at this case and see that this is a bunch of trumped up charges.
So, but I think it's brave of this guy wearing all this Puff memorabilia. Or, like he has Puff Daddy hats, he has the Puff shirt, the sweats, which
Because if you look at it, only thing they've shown you, right, to date, this is probably the second, third week of trial, right? Mm-hmm. Everything the government promised you, they have yet to show you.
I think it's pretty brave of him, and I think that says a lot about him, that he is willing to hold his friend down, regardless of how the world may feel about that person.
He promised you all this stuff. Only thing they showed you was domestic violence, drug abuse. They have not shown you the machine, and they have not shown you.
I think that is a strong trait to have. It's always good to have somebody like that on your corner. Of course, most people would probably say, yeah, of course, Diddy is a rich guy. He's almost a billionaire. So, of course, this guy would stand by his side hoping to get rewarded for being loyal.
They showed you the man and they showed you drug addiction and domestic violence. They haven't showed you anything else. And this case is not about domestic violence. It's about the other charges that they brought to...
I don't care what you think, but I don't know what you think. But regardless of what it is, as much as Diddy is being bashed by the media, it's always good to see somebody being bold enough to want to speak out in Diddy's defense, regardless of how America may feel about it. Domestic violence is something I'm against. Like that video with Cassie and Diddy actually beating Cassie, that was like the biggest blow.
And they have yet to prove that.
Well, of course, they will try to show these so-called predicate crimes fall into what you described, but hearing about the domestic violence, about the drugs, were you surprised when that testimony came in? Do you believe any of it?
That was the biggest blow. You know, we've heard about domestic violence of men beating women or women beating men. It's always men beating women. Whenever it's a woman beating a man, it never gets reported, or it barely gets reported.
I mean, you saw what I saw. So, the drugs, I was surprised about the drugs. Because I don't know Puff to do drugs, right?
Because first of all, it's embarrassing on the part of the man. So why would he want to broadcast himself? Of course, if I was bitten by a woman, I would not tell. I would probably take that to the grave with me.
So me hearing it for the first time, yeah, we were shocked. His kids were shocked. His mom was shocked. We didn't know he was doing drugs. We didn't know Cassie was doing drugs. We didn't. This is a part of their life that they kept to them. That was their.
Right. So. Yeah, somebody would probably call that toxic masculinity, but it's just what it is. Most men are not comfortable saying.
The violence? How about that?
I mean, they had a strange toxic relationship. You know what I'm saying? John B had a record a long time ago, and the song went, "They Don't Know About Us." That's their connection. That's their love. That's their strange way of connecting.
Who would want to admit that his woman beats him as a guy? That's some beta trait. When I mean beta, you know, that's the biggest definition of beta. And that is part of the reason why I believe a lot of sexual assault, when men get sexually assaulted by women, that is also why belly gets reported. But
that's their love. That's their strange way of connecting. I mean, it don't work for you, don't work for me, but that's them. That's their relationship.
On day 13, here we are, the trial of Sean Diddy Combs. There was a tense back and forth.
you're gonna say, "Oh my God, she grabbed my ass." It just doesn't sound right coming from a guy. You know, I think it was Busta Rhymes who was grabbed by a female and he overreacted.
And the second woman to accuse Diddy of sexual abuse. In just a moment, my team of legal experts and court insiders will look at whether Diddy's legal team moved the needle in challenging one of the prosecution's arguably strongest witnesses.
And that got a lot of media coverage because most men was like, "Oh my God, are you gay? A woman is grabbing your butt. You should like it." Of course, not every man wants to be grabbed, you know, so.
From the former assistant known to the public only under a pseudonym, Mia. She recounted more instances of abuse, of blackmail, saying that she feared not just losing her job, actually, but her life.
I feel like that's double standards, you know? But anyhow, let's get back to this Diddy case before I drift off. What I'm trying to say here is the fact that this guy is willing to hold his friend down. I commend it.
Now, to cross, the defense suggested that she made up for sexual abuse claims. The jury also saw several social media posts showing Mia praising Diddy, even after the alleged sexual assault.
Commend it. How do I feel about Diddy? Dude, honestly, I have no opinion. I just want him to go through his due process in court, and I want people to be open-minded, just like I am open-minded, you know, and let's hear the case.
After the alleged sexual assaults. Before the defense took their shot, Mia had a lot more to say about Diddy's threats. She described one trip that she and Cassie took to South Africa, a trip that quickly turned dark. Diddy, he was back in Miami, trying to get Cassie to talk after she found out that he had been with another woman. Mia testified that Diddy flooded her with threatening text messages over a period of...
But like I was saying about domestic violence, you hear about it a lot till it gets captured on camera, right? And then it looks really bad on the person who is doing the abuse or who is doing the hitting or the beating. So, and domestic violence is something that is popular in a lot of relationships, but seeing Diddy kick Cassie on the floor,
saying he was threatening my job, and then he threatened to kill me. Now, Mia claimed that Diddy attempted to blackmail her on that very same trip, saying that Diddy threatened to tell Cassie...
Oh my God, of course, if there's any woman in that jury, they would really be on Cassie's side, of course, right? So am I on Diddy's side? No, I'm just saying, like, let's be fair. Men and women, they do fight. Men have beaten women in the past. Women have beaten men in the past. You know, that's domestic violence. But what Diddy's being charged with, the RICO charge.
Done to Mia, as if the alleged sexual abuse was somehow Mia's fault or that she was a willing participant. The jury saw one text from Diddy to Mia that said this: "If you don't call me now, F it all, and I'm gonna tell everything, and don't ever speak to me again. You have 2 minutes. F her." Now, Mia, she eventually left her job in 2017. But that wasn't the last time she heard from Diddy. She told the court that Diddy and his longtime security guard, men as had mentioned throughout the entire trial, D-Rock, reached out to her. When? Well, it was after Cassie's lawsuit was filed in 2023, saying Puff wanted D-Rock to get me and make sure
It's that, like, I don't know if that has been proved yet, or if that has been proven yet. So the testimony from Cassie's friend, I was just listening to it from CNN. Yeah, and then Diddy's defense questioning her back and the rebuttal, and it was just kind of like they're trying to find a crack in her story. They seem to be doing a pretty decent job. They seem to be doing a pretty decent job. And one thing that did catch my attention, like, I just found out Donald Trump pardoned NBA YoungBoy, and he's pardoned a lot of people within the past 3 months that he's became president, which I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. You know, President Joe Biden pardoned so many people, especially a lot of his family members. So I feel like Trump pardoning people, I think he's not just doing it. He's not just pardoning the people that he likes. I'm sure he doesn't know NBA YoungBoy personally. He probably just looked into the case and found BS charges and is like, that's the reason why you want to keep this guy here. Nah, get him out. Get him out. Get him out. No, get him out. Get him out. So let's see what's going to happen. Is he going to actually chime in on the Diddy case? Is he going to look into it? Well, apparently, he did speak on it. He did speak on it. And I don't know what it is about Donald Trump. There's something about him. He just comes off as being sincere, if I could say that. He just comes off as being neutral, you know? Being sincere or neutral or even-minded, that is a good thing. It almost seems like there's almost like no bias in how he goes about making decision, you know?
today, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, weighed in. He was actually asked if he would consider or had considered pardoning Diddy.
I haven't seen him. I haven't spoken to him in years. He used to really like me a lot, but I think when I ran for politics, that relationship busted up from what I read. I would certainly look at the facts. If I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact.
Let's begin with editor-in-chief of All Rise News.
Which I would commend. So let's see what happened in the Diddy case. Is he going to pardon P. Diddy? Should he pardon P. Diddy? Do P. Diddy deserve a pardon? Is Puff Daddy guilty of what he's being charged of? Not domestic violence, of course. If it was domestic violence, yeah, dude, you're guilty. We caught you red-handed. But the charges that the Fed are putting on Puff Daddy right now, if we did not have that video with him beating Cassie, would it be as bad as it look? What do you think? I'm out.
Like I'm still on the clock. I'm still on a rock on the road to the top. I feel like this. I feel like winning, making a killing. Got to be kidding, playing the villain. Niggas are silly. Show me that. Show me that. Show me that. Ego, 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 ego. Caution, I'm about that action. I switch from thug, give a corporate passion. Stay down. This a lyrical beat down. The box I be round. Chubby bout to lose weight. Before I come, I tell her, don't lose faith. I'm in the club popping bottles. VIP sectors, a few models. Invested money like my name is Bill Gates. Every time I throw bills.